Hey, what's up? We're back, and this week it's going to be for the UFC 232 recap. Along with, I'm going to do a bit of a year in review for our channel overall for the whole year. But what could you say about UFC 232? Just a hell of a card from top to bottom. There was really a lot of great fights. A couple fights that I'll highlight right now. Are definitely the fight with CR Bahadurzada versus Curtis Belender. That was an excellent fight. Along with Volkanovski versus Chad Mendes. But, we're going to start, the recap from the first fight of the night because he was part of our Parlay of the Week this week, which is Montel Jackson. He had an excellent performance against Brian Kelleher. This was supposed to be a fight that was going to happen, a couple months back on the Conor McGregor card, and I pinpointed Montel as a bet back then. I bet him again this time, and he got the job done. He had a dominant performance, first-round finish. Really put it to Brian Kelleher with those long-range attacks. Those body kicks ended up getting him in a Darce choke. He has really long reach. He's just an insane athlete for that division. He has a lot of potential, man. I mean, he really has potential to be a top 5 guy. He was coming in here off a loss to Ricky Simone, who I think is another guy who's in the top 15. So I really believe that Montel Jackson should get a top 15 opponent next. And for Brian Kelleher, pretty tough loss. He's dominated, and I think he kind of established himself as a top 15 gatekeeper, maybe even top 25 type gatekeeper. But he still should be proud of his career, how it's gone. He's started out slow, came back, kept grinding, got some big wins against some huge names in the sport, such as Uriel Alcantara, Renan Barão. So nothing but respect for Brian Kelleher. He's a dog. He brings it every time, and I think he's earned another chance to fight in the UFC. And for Montel Jackson, like I said, it's only up from here, and I think he should potentially get a top 15 to 25 opponent next and see where he really is, because Brian Kelleher is a stiff test for anyone, and he ran through him very easily. So very good side there for Montel Jackson. And up next was CR Bahadurzada against Curtis Belender. And we picked CR here, but Curtis was able to get it done. It was a hell of a fight. Curtis was able to use those long-range attacks, really kind of land the cleaner shots. But CR, he held true to all the words he was saying, man. He came in like a warrior. He was walking Curtis down. He was throwing huge, wild hooks, no fear, taking shots, eating shots, talking shit back. And, I mean, he did hit Curtis a little bit while Curtis was backing up with that tall man defense, and that's kind of what I don't like to see out of Curtis, that along with his takedown defense, which is just very bad. Once he gets on the ground, he seems like he's kind of a fish out of water, so definitely needs to improve that, but his striking on the feet is really, really nice. I mean, he was piecing CR Bahadurzada up with straight punches, with kicks up the middle, and knees up the middle, and just kept his range. He was doing a great job. Bahadurzada really didn't land a ton of shots, but Bahadurzada did win the second round. He was able to get a takedown, 1-1 going to the third round. And once again, Belender hurt him very bad, but CR was once again able to get a takedown. And, Belender showed some holes there on the ground, but able to, at the very end, he reversed CR. And who knows, if he did reverse CR and ended up on top, I mean, maybe the judge would have gave it to Bahadurzada 2-1. It was a very close competitive fight, but do think the correct winner is Belender, and a good performance from him. And he should probably get a top 15 fighter next. He's now 3-0 in the UFC, beat 3 quality opposition. He's beaten 2 very good veterans in the sport, such as Bahadurzada and Thiago Alves, and he also defeated Max Griffin as well. So 3 good wins for him so far in the UFC. And for Bahadurzada, I don't think his stock drops much for that loss. He went on, he took on a surging prospect, and he pushed him almost to the brink of a victory, man. So good performance by Bahadurzada. He has a great chin. He always has a fun style to watch, and definitely someone I'm going to be watching the next time he fights for sure. And up next, we had Uriah Hall against Bavon Lewis, and man, if we would have cashed on this bet, we had an excellent night. We still won pretty good money, but Bavon Lewis, we had a bet on him, and he was doing a great job, man, keeping the pressure. It looked like he almost finished Uriah a couple times in that first round, but Uriah is starting to become known for these comebacks, man. I mean, really great to see after a guy that early in his career was getting called kind of a mental midget, couldn't come back from adversity, and now you see him as the guy that's always coming back, man. I mean, you look at his fight versus Gegard Mousasi, come from behind knockout. Christoph Jocko, come behind knockout. Now Bavon Lewis, come from behind knockout. So you can never count this guy out, Uriah Hall. I mean, it's a nasty knockout, probably saved his career in the UFC, and very emotional after. Very cool to see him get the win after and react like that. I mean, it was obviously a big win for him, something that was very important to him. And for a guy like Bavon Lewis, that was great experience going in there fighting a top 15 guy. Pushed him to the brink, almost getting the victory, but he did get knocked out very badly. I mean, he was out for like 2 minutes plus. I mean, very brutal knockout. So we have to see how his chin reacts from that, but definitely a positive performance from him. Growing pains. obviously, but everyone takes that first loss to MMA, and I still have faith that Bavon Lewis could turn it around and become a very, very serviceable fighter in the UFC. And up next, we have Nathaniel Wood against Andre Ewell, and kind of what I expected here. Nathaniel Wood was just too good on the feet, too much pressure, too technical, and once he got into the ground, there was no contest. I mean, Ewell really has nothing on the ground, no movement. It was just trying to hold on to Nathaniel Wood, control the posture, just survive down there and get stood back up. And the one time he did explode, he tried to get back up to his feet. Nathaniel Wood was able to take his back, submit him. So Ewell definitely needs to go back to the lab. He needs to take some time off, work on that ground game, work on those takedown defense, work on keeping his distance. Because when he keeps his distance, he's very fast, he's athletic, he can knock people out, has good power, he's big for the division. So has some attributes there, but he needs to work on the filling out the rest of his game. And, Nathaniel Wood was able to close that distance, make him inefficient on the feet with the striking, take him down, and just dominated him from there. So great performance from Nathaniel Wood. He's a guy that this fight was a pick-up, so a lot of people were thinking Andre Ewell was going to get it done. A lot of people were questioning Nathaniel Wood being a legitimate prospect, and much better performance from him here, much cleaner, didn't get hit as much. He's a guy that likes to get hit. He got hit a lot against John Eduardo, got hit a lot in his Cage Warriors career, so good to see him evolving here, not taking as many shots. And it would be cool to see him get that fight with Tom Duke a while back if he could get it. I know he also called out Marlon Chito Vera, which would also be a great fight. So whichever one, I'm down for. Nathaniel Wood's a fun fighter to watch. He's an action fighter, and I'm sure he's going to be looking to put another win on his record there. And up next, Ryan Hall against BJ Penn. And Ryan Hall came out there. I thought he actually had like a kind of a subpar performance in terms of prior to the submission. The submission was just beautiful, man. That leg lock, heel hook, the baseball slide was just awesome. Right into the heel hook. I mean, very, very elite thing. I mean, Ryan Hall is an interesting guy. I know a lot of people don't like his style, but he's someone that's difficult to match up with, because if you get into boxing range with him, he's going to drop to his back. You have to go to the ground with him or stand back up. BJ was doing a good job attacking the legs. He landed a lot of leg kicks when Ryan Hall was on the ground. I actually thought BJ had a decent performance early on the feet. He was getting Ryan Hall to move back a lot, kind of jamming his kicks. But Ryan Hall's a guy that's, like I said, he's tough to game plan before, because he's always going to try to move, keep you at the end of his kicks. He has dangerous kicks, maybe not powerful, but they're quick. He can throw with the front leg, come up very quickly, and they can tag you. So it's almost like a jab for him, and he keeps his range. And then once you get into his range, he'll just drop down, and he's always looking for the leg locks as well. So he has an interesting style. And, he tore that knee of BJ's apart, man. It was hard to see. And hopefully at this point, BJ, can maybe see the writing on the wall, man. I mean, that's 6 straight losses. I know it's hard for him probably to hang it up here, but, man, I mean, it's tough to see him keep going out there taking these losses. He doesn't have anything to prove. He's a legend of the sport, former 2-division champion. I feel like BJ should take heed of all these words people are saying, like Dana White. I don't think they're obviously not trying to be disrespectful. It's just, it's tough to see this guy continue to go in and take these losses. So hopefully he can, maybe this could be his last one. But for Ryan Hall, I mean, I'm interested to see him get a top 15 opponent. I'm interested to see what happens. Is the guy just going to knock him out? He's going to be able to catch him because he did have a couple occasions where I thought that his defense wasn't very great on the feet. He was running away. He kind of showed his back to BJ, which I didn't like to see. Maybe a guy more explosive could exploit that, but so far, Ryan Hall's been perfect in the UFC. He barely gets hit. He's traded with a great gym over there with Frost Sahabi, TriStar, so we'll see where he goes from here. And Petr Yan against Douglas Silva de Andrade. I mean, this was closing out our other part of the parlay of the weekend. Dominant performance by Petr Yan, just beat him down. Douglas Silva de Andrade came to fight. He showed some good things. He landed that right hand very clean, had some nice uppercuts. He's a huge guy, and he's someone that I think could definitely give a lot of people problems. Very explosive, very athletic, can knock people out. But Petr Yan just handled him, man. He was walking him down, kept switching stances, cutting the ring off, landed some nice punches, good combinations, good kicks, kept that jab out there, kept a lot of volume, and just wore Douglas Silva Andrade out with that forward pressure and keeping him moving backwards. And then once he took him down in the second round, it was just pure domination from there. Huge ground and pound, just really beat up Douglas Silva de Andrade. And, it's been a topic of discussion a lot in 2018 with corners not stopping the fight. We saw that most recently with Dan Hooker against Edson Barbosa. We also saw that with Raquel Pennington. She was telling her corner she was, not ready to proceed to the 5th round, but they still took her out and brought her out there. So it was good to see corner Andrade saying, okay, I mean, we see our guys had enough. We don't want to bring them out there to get a beating and, stopping that fight. So that was a good thing to see, in my opinion. I feel like more corners should do that. No shame in that. And, I feel like Petr Yan's been calling out Lineker. That's a fight I would love to see. I mean, I think it would be a great main event on a fight night. And for Douglas Silva de Andrade, I was thinking about it. I think a good opponent for him could potentially be Sergio Pettis. It'd be a nice striking fight. Pettis and Douglas Silva de Andrade both lost a round fought, but they're both dangerous strikers, and could be a fun fight to watch there and see if Sergio Pettis is the real deal at 135, or could Douglas Silva get a big-time win, probably the biggest win of his career. And up next, Megan Anderson fight against Kat Zingano, and we picked the upset correctly here. Megan Anderson got the win, maybe not in the way a lot of people thought, but Megan Anderson was able to land a kick to the toe to the eye, finish the fight. It was very unfortunate for Kat Zingano. Kat Zingano bettors as well. Very odd way to lose the fight. But to me, I mean, all the people giving Megan slack said it should be a DQ and no contest. I mean, you have to think a little bit more logically here. I mean, when you're talking about an eye poke with your fingers, you could just close your hand. I mean, closing your hand is obviously, it's much easier to control your fingers when you're throwing a punch. You don't have to throw with an open hand. You can't really control your toes in the same way. So obviously, you can't regulate it the same way in terms of counting like eye poke. To me, it's more like a knuckle to the eye, someone landing a nice clean knee to the eye, where that we've seen that also hinder people and end the fight as well. So that's kind of more what I thought, but it's still very unfortunate. I know Megan asked for a automatic rematch, which I wouldn't mind seeing if Kat's up for that, but Kat did look a little bit, in my opinion, just like, I don't feel like 145 maybe is the best division for her. She looked a little bit, just like she was carrying some extra weight, maybe was a little bit slow, and she was backing up. I don't think she liked the distance that Megan had. I don't think she realized just how long she was, and I don't think that the way she was fighting, backing up like that, I mean, unless she had a big blitz. And I would have been interested to see if she did that and Megan was able to withstand, keep it on the feet. But if they have a rematch, we'll be able to figure that all out, see how truly Megan has improved with her takedown defense. But overall, I really thought that she was kind of bossing that fight in terms of the very beginning of it. But obviously, Cowley would have needed one takedown to probably change the tide of that fight. So maybe we'll get a rematch at 145. I don't know what Kat wants to do. She wants to go back 135. And quite frankly, I don't know what they're going to do with the division after this huge win by Amanda Nunes. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. And up next, Walt Harris, Andrei Arlovski. Probably the worst fight of the night, very uneventful. But Andrei Arlovski, he didn't really do much in this fight, man. I mean, very low output, just a boring fight, and not really much to say, man. I mean, hopefully AA, I don't know what he wants to do. I don't know if he's going to be retiring, but that's 3 straight losses. He's lost, after he had 2 wins in a row to start the year, he kind of had a bit of a renaissance after that 5-fight losing streak. Now he's back to losing 3 in a row, so let's see if he's going to stick around in the UFC even. Let's see if they're going to give him another fight. Maybe he could go to Bellator, fight the Bellator level heavyweights, the Frank Mears, the Fedor Emelianenko's, Matt Mitriones. I mean, those would be fun matchups. I mean, imagine like Andrei Arlovski versus Bobby Lashley. I mean, I would watch that. But, for Walt Harris, it still was a huge win. Obviously, Andrei's a former champion. He's a name. He's always going to be relevant in the sport. So, biggest win of his career for Walt Harris. And it was the first time that Walt Harris, won when he got the step up. So, props to Walt Harris. Previously in his career, he had that step up versus guys like Jared Rochart, guys like Soa Paleli, Shamil Abdurakhimov for Doob. And he didn't come up in those spots. He didn't deliver. I actually thought he won against Shamil, but obviously, they didn't give him the win there. And finally, he was able to break through when he got that step up competition, deliver with the win. Now he's won, in my opinion, it's really 3 in a row. Obviously, he lost by DQ to Godbeer, but really was a knockout win for him there. But on the record books, he's won 2 straight fights. And, if you were to give him the win with Shamil along with the Godbeer win, instead of a DQ, that's 7-1 in his last 8 UFC fights in his return. So definitely has been a record shop. He hasn't fought the best level of competition, but he proved he was able to win a decision, his first decision win of his career. So props to Walt Harris getting the victory there in that fight. And up next, an amazing fight, Alexander Volkanovski against Chad Mendes. We got this fight incorrect, man, but damn, I mean, this was a war. Mendes, I thought, won the first round, but it was a very close round. Mendes was able to kind of control the grappling. I think he landed a takedown in the first round. He was able to stop Volkanovski takedown. And I feel as also he landed some nice shots. He landed a nice shot, one of those nice left hooks to the body, then left hands up top. And he was very explosive early, just like he always is. And in that second round, he came out even more explosive, landed a short right hand that really rocked Volkanovski, started chasing him down, almost took him out, man. I mean, he dropped him. He had him badly hurt. He had him running backwards. He was chasing him down, and he blew his load, man. He gassed himself out, and Volkanovski was able to come back and take over the fight, and he started pouring it on him. He started landing these body shots, and it was very reminiscent of the Conor McGregor fight. Chad Mendes was just melting, and Volkanovski felt it. He put it on him, and he knocked him out, man. And I mean, huge win by Volkanovski. That guy's a beast. I mean, he's in great company now. The only 4 guys that have beaten Chad Mendes in his career are Frankie Edgar, Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo, and Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, the other 3 guys are arguably 3 of the top 5 featherweights of all time. Obviously, McGregor and Aldo are firmly in the top 5. But Frankie Edgar, he's done a lot of great things at 145. Obviously, he won his title at 155. He had more success there. So he's a hard guy to argue as a top 5 145er. But he's a Hall of Famer in the UFC. He's an amazing fighter. So he's also a very, very reputable guy. And Volkanovski is in great company there with that win. And, he's won a lot of fights in a row. I believe he's now 7-0 in the UFC. So definitely it's time for him to get a huge step up. And a fight that I would like to see from Volkanovski, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's time to give him that title fight with Max Holloway. I would love to see him fight a guy like a Zabit. Maybe that would be a great fight. I would love to see him fight the upper tier guys, and for Chad Mendes, obviously, he's still around. I mean, Mendes, in my opinion, has looked pretty phenomenal in his return. A lot of people had questions about him. He took out Miles Jury, but, I mean, in this fight, the same problem showed, but obviously he showed that he's still a beast, man. He dropped Volkanovski, who's a great fighter, almost took him out, and he's still very explosive. He's still very dangerous in his return. I mean, make no mistake about it. Chad Mendes can still take a lot of guys out, and a fight I would love to see Chad Mendes in is Brian Ortega. I mean, I don't think he's going to be taking down Chad, and obviously he maybe has the durability, the cardio advantage, but you can't get hit too many times clean by Chad Mendes and think you're still going to be awake. So we'll see who would win that matchup if that ever happens, but that's a fight I would love to see for Chad Mendes. And then up next, we had Corey Anderson against Ilir Latifi. Another upset I picked correctly. Actually, won some money on my guy Corey. I actually kind of went on a limb. I said Corey Anderson was going to dominate Ilir. And, I wouldn't say I was correct on that. Ilir actually showed up much better. I've actually only seen him in fights he threw a lot of overhands or a lot of straight punches. And in this fight, had a very smart game plan. He took away the takedowns of Corey Anderson. He was throwing right uppercuts, short right hooks, because Corey likes to use his takedown and put his head on the right side. So he was taking away the takedowns with that. Even rocked Corey Anderson with a huge right uppercut early in the round. First round, took his mouthpiece out. Definitely thought he won that round. And but Corey Anderson, you could just tell after he realized what was going on, he started to use his long-range attacks, his jab, his leg kicks, his body kicks, head kicks, really started beating up the body of Ilir, started walking Ilir down very heavy, forced him into grappling situations. Even though neither guy got a takedown, Ilir tried very hard to get a few takedowns. Corey Anderson showed some amazing takedown defense, and it was really fun to watch just the takedown defense in that fight. I mean, Ilir had an incredible sprawl, very good reaction time. Corey Anderson was also having a very tremendous takedown defense, and they were able to negate each other there, but it still was fun to watch. And Anderson was just slowly putting the pressure, taking over, and he did dominate the last couple rounds, in my opinion, with just pressure, pace, volume, and volumed and outworked Ilir Latifi to a win. And he was he was very happy after the fight. He was going crazy, and he deserves it, man. I mean, a lot of people counted this guy out after he had the 2 losses to Jimmy Manuwa, OSP back-to-back, got knocked out, had a very bad performance against Shogun Rua, and now he's beaten a third-ranked guy back-to-back times. Glover was ranked 3rd, Ilir was ranked 3rd, and this guy's ranked 10th in the division, man. I mean, someone needs to give, what is that for the voters? I mean, 10th in the division. I mean, I think Corey Anderson easily should be ranked in the top 5. He's a force to be reckoned with there. I mean, he called out Anthony Smith. I feel like that's a fight that Corey Anderson would have a very good chance of winning that fight. And I feel like he has a very good chance to beat a lot of guys in that division. I mean, Corey Anderson versus Alexander Gustafsson, to me, that's a pick-up fight. I mean, it's a very close fight. Obviously, I feel like John Jones is just a tier above. DC, maybe even a tier above. But, all these other guys, I mean, Corey Anderson is right there with these guys. And he deserves some more respect, in my opinion. And for Ilir Latifi, I know he was talking about moving up to heavyweight. Maybe that would be a fun thing to see. I would love to see Ilir at heavyweight. I think he would do well up there. He kind of has the same frame style as DC. And, I know he's not very big in terms of height, but he's just like a fire hydrant, man. So I feel like he would do well up there. And if he wants to stay at 205, he could beat a lot of guys in the division. I mean, this was not a bad performance by no means for Ilir Latifi. And up next, we had Michael Chiesa against Carlos Condit. And fun fight. I actually thought Carlos Condit won the first round. I know a lot of people probably disagree with me on that, but, I feel like he was the one doing all the submission attempts. He almost got an armbar. And I just feel like submissions aren't judged correctly in MMA in terms of if you are a wrestler like Chiesa. Chiesa took him down like 3 or 4 times in the first round. He showed some very dominant grappling, very good strength when he got in those positions, was able to muscle Carlos down easily. But let's say that he was doing that same thing. He took him down 3 times, had some top control, but Carlos got up a couple times. And with 1 minute left in the round, Carlos dropped him with a big right hand, got on top, landed some decent ground and pound. If he would have done that, he would have won the round easily. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like most judges would give that round to the guy that knocked him down. They would give it to Carlos for knocking down Chiesa at the end of the round if that was the scenario. But same scenario with the armbar where Condit almost gets the armbar. I don't feel like they would have given him that round, but I feel like they should give him that round. He also attacked with the leg lock. He got a sweep. Chiesa had some, he didn't really do much with his top control. I don't feel like he landed big shots. So I did give that first round to Condit, but the second round, Chiesa came in. He took him down again and took his back on a one-arm Kimura, which I don't think I've ever seen in the UFC. Very nice stuff there by Chiesa. And Chiesa seemed like he proved something to himself. He really looked up to Carlos Condit growing through his career, and he was able to beat him. He was able to take out a welterweight. It seemed like he relieved some stress from himself after a very difficult year. He hasn't won in 2.5 years. Obviously, he had a lot of problems with that Conor McGregor bus incident. Had a lot of fans going after him, and I feel like Michael Chiesa showed more of his real personality this time out. He he wasn't talking shit. He wasn't wearing those crazy outfits like he was wearing against Kevin Lee. And I feel like he was maybe trying to market himself before at 155. This time he showed his real personality. He was giving Carlos Condit a lot of respect. He was talking like, he was telling everyone. I feel like he was being the real Chiesa, and I thought it shined through. I really liked him a lot during this fight week, so I hope that he continues to have that same mindset and, doesn't go back to trying to be something he's not in terms of the shit talker and all that, because I feel like if he continues to be like this again, I feel like he'll regain some of the fans that he lost in the past. But big win for Chiesa. He called out Neil Magny, and I wouldn't mind seeing that fight go down. And up next, Amanda Nunes against Christian Justine Cyborg. And man, I mean, wow, what a shock this was, right? I mean, Cyborg just comes in like a marauder, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know why she was doing that, why she came in so hard like that. Had no respect for the power of Amanda Nunes, and she paid for it, man. Nunes was able to, she didn't close her eyes, throw that right hand, but she landed it super clean, and once she landed that, or the left hand maybe, and once she landed that left hand, she landed the right hook right behind it, and, Cyborg she kept coming in like a marauder, man. I mean, she got dropped, she came right back up, just swinging like a wild banshee, and, just wasn't a great game plan for Cyborg. I feel like if they ever had a rematch, which I feel like Cyborg deserves a rematch, in my opinion. I mean, I know Dana White was saying he didn't think there's a rematch. They always have had problems with Cyborg going back and forth. But, I mean, one thing you could say about Cyborg is the way that she handled that loss yesterday really, made me a bigger fan of her, man. I mean, she handled it with a lot of grace. She was not upset about her loss. She said she was still going to go and party with her fans. She was very upbeat about it. And I think a lot of people could take away how to handle the loss, how Cyborg handled it yesterday. I mean, that was her first loss in 13 years. And, she's ready to get right back on the horse. She said she wanted a rematch with Nunes. And, I would love to see that for her, man. I think she deserves it. She, she's a legend of the sport. She's one of the biggest legends of the entire sport, not just man or woman. I mean, she went on a 13-year unbeaten streak, beat a lot of people, knocking a lot of people out. And people could say whatever they want about Cyborg, but I feel like she really showed a lot of grace in the way that she handled that loss. And would love to see the rematch regardless. I mean, I feel like she's earned that. And, I feel like it would sell a lot of pay-per-views. And I feel like, she could come in with a different game plan, potentially knock out Amanda. So, I mean, anything could happen. And I think she's earned a rematch there. But for Amanda, I mean, it was obviously her night. I mean, all you could say about Amanda is just, wow. I mean, congratulations. What a performance. And she was able to just connect with the cleaner shots, and she just put Cyborg out cold, man. I mean, that's what you have to do with Cyborg, because she was true. I mean, she kept getting up. She was attacking, like she said. She would not stop unless you killed her, and that's what Amanda Nunes did. She killed Cyborg, man. I mean, now she's beating Ronda Rousey and Cyborg both in under a minute. I mean, how incredible is that? I mean, the list of wins that she has on her record is just pretty outstanding, man. I mean, she's beaten Cyborg, Ronda Rousey, Valentina Shevchenko twice, Miesha Tate, Germaine Durandamy. I mean, all UFC champions right there. And obviously, Miesha Tate, Rousey, Valentina Shevchenko, Cyborg are all in the, that discussion for the best woman fighter of all time. And she's taken them all out. So, big props to Amanda Nunes. She went up there. She shocked the world. She took that 145 belt. And we'll see what she wants to do now, because this is an interesting thing, because I know that the 145-pound division only has Cyborg and Megan Anderson. Now Cyborg took a loss. That was the last fight of her contract. Let's see if the UFC, I mean, they've always had problems with Cyborg. It seems like they don't really like working with each other. Or they've had... I don't know, man. I just really hope that this isn't Cyborg's last fight in the UFC and we dissolve the 145-pound division. It's like it never happened, because, I feel like Cyborg deserves better than that. I feel like the division deserves better than that. And, I feel like that's a division where Amanda, it's not a lot going on in that division, man. I mean, Amanda could go up there. She could do the rematch with Cyborg. She could go back down. She could defend at 135. I mean, there's no challengers at 45 that are going to be, bitching and complaining like, oh, I earned the shot, I deserve the shot, which, I mean, maybe there is, but it's not going to be that much volition to it. I mean, who's it going to be? Megan Anderson saying she earned the shot if Amanda Nunes wants to go down defend her 135-pound belt after the Cyborg win? I mean, they just need a Cyborg 145ers and have Anderson win a couple fights and get people more active, and Nunes will be able to, in my opinion, potentially be the first person to simultaneously defend both belts, which could be a feather in her cap that she wants to do. And I feel like it's a division that could very easily happen just due to her not having a lot of challengers at 145, and it could be a loose schedule up there, and she could, still have the time to go to 135 and do her thing. So we'll see what happens there, but I really hope we get to see the rematch. I feel like it would be a great thing. It would be a great thing to see. And up next, the main event, Jon Jones, Alexander Gustafsson, and Jon Jones just put on a clinic, man. I mean, he had a very interesting game plan, very good game plan. I mean, I actually thought he was going to go forward pressure, cut off the cage, get Gustafsson in the clinch, take out that boxing range, but he actually took out boxing range in a different way. He kept it at his own range. He was kind of out-Gustafsson Gustafsson, man. He was moving a lot. He was using a lot of lateral movement, and he was keeping him at the end of his kicking range, keeping him at the boxing range, and every single time he would get inside, he would clinch up with him, and, just an excellent performance by Jon Jones, man. I mean, straight kicks up the middle, straight punches, hooks when he got in close, just dominating Alexander Gustafsson. I mean, Gustafsson really got nothing going in that fight, and Gustafsson's now 0-3 in title fights. He was very confident coming into this fight, so I'm sure that's a big-time loss. Has to stake for him because didn't really show up in this fight. I mean, in the third round when he was taken down, I mean, just domination from there. Jon Jones was able to get into side control. He got the, crucifix position, was able to take the back and just brutal ground and pound. I mean, Jon Jones has some of the best ground and pound in MMA history, man. I mean, just impressive performance right there by Jon Jones. Just systematic beatdown of Gustafsson. And now Gustafsson's 0-3 in title fights. I'm trying to remember I know Chad Mendes 0-3 in title fights. Kenny Florian back in the day was 0-3, but that's a rough spot for Gustafsson to be in. Definitely is one of the best guys in the division. He's definitely a guy that could definitely move right back up into the heap in a couple years, couple fights. So definitely can't say it's the end of Gustafsson's career as potentially challenging for titles, but it's a big blow, big blow, and just showed that he was a level below John Jones. I don't think that he would ever beat John Jones in a rematch. I mean, unless he just caught him cold, a freak accident. I mean, I think John Jones just proved that he's a tier above, and he proved that, in my opinion. I mean, when he's in the octagon, you can take everything aside, all the problems outside the ring. I mean, he hasn't found a problem that is affecting him at all in the cage, and in my opinion, when he's in the cage, when he's fighting, his performances, he's the best pound for pound guy in the world, man. I mean, he's just incredible. He's an amazing fighter, and in the cage, you can't take anything away from the guy. And yeah, I mean, that's all you could say about it. But so there's the recap for UFC 232. But now I want to talk a little bit about 2018, the year that we had on the channel. And I just want to say, first of all, thanks a lot for all the support, everybody supporting the channel that came on, that subscribed this year. And hopefully I helped you guys make some money over the year. And just tell me, I know a lot of people wrote recently in comments that they would like to see some pictures added to my videos. So I am going to start to do that for 2019. I see everyone's comments. I see everything that people are saying. So I'm going to try to implement that. I also earlier today posted on Twitter asking if you guys would like to see some fighter type interviews if they were possible. I have to figure out how to set those up, do that whole jazz. But sure, I could probably figure it out. And, potentially start to add different things to the channel as well. So any ideas are obviously very welcome. Put down in the comments. And I just want to say thanks to everyone that's been supported very heavy throughout the year. You guys know who you are. I don't want to kind of say one name, but thanks a lot, man. It really means a lot. And hopefully I helped you guys make some money this year. And next year could be even better. But good that we ended the year on a bang. And overall, for the parlay of the week for 2018, we were, we got 24 correct, 20 incorrect, so did pretty well on that. For the parlay, for the most confident pick, we got 33 correct and 12 incorrect. So both were positive for the year. Hopefully, if anyone was taking my picks, put down in the comments if I made you some money, if I lost you some money, and hopefully next year we can build on that. We can continue to get a little bit better, and just like I said, add some new things to the channel as well. So it's only going to be going up from here. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers, which is the goal of mine. So once we get to that, maybe I'll put out another type of video, thanking you guys for that. But just really love the support from you guys this year. Thanks a lot. It's kind of the first year that I've been doing something like this, making a video breakdown, predictions, everything like that, anything on video actually. So wasn't sure how people were going to react to it. Wasn't sure if people were going to like it, people weren't going to like it, how it was going to be. So really enjoy the reception that I got this year, and definitely am excited to continue to do it next year. It's going to be the implement of ESPN, so it's going to be a little bit new. The first ESPN event is the first event of 2019. TJ Dillashaw against Cody Garbrandt. TJ Dillashaw against Henry Cejudo. Someone else is trying to become a two-division simultaneous champion in the UFC. So seeing that more and more now. Dana White was also talking about a lot of implementation. He was kind of intimating that maybe there's going to be a boxing and MMA correlation in the UFC next year, so that might be cool to see. We'll see all the trends that happen for 2019. I mean, everyone knows that follows the sport as much as we do that it's crazy. Anything could happen. I mean, we just saw a whole event move for John Jones this week. So, like I said, thanks for watching, guys. Not just this episode, for the whole year. Thanks for supporting, and really appreciate it. And only going to be getting better for 2019. So stick with me here.